Joe Biden is getting all the media attention, and so I think it's time we do some fact-checking about Joe Biden. Hi, thanks for watching. Today is Friday, Fact Check Friday, and today I thought I would do some fact-checking about some different stories that involve Vice President Joe Biden. He's been getting a lot of attention in the media, and so I just picked 5 stories about Joe Biden, and I thought we could do a quick fact check of those. The first is Joe Biden the most progressive candidate? This seems insane. I don't know who would make the claim.
I'm told I get criticized by the New Left. I have the most progressive record of anybody running for the United, if anybody who would run.
Wow. Okay, so Joe made that claim. If he meant by most progressive candidate the absolute least progressive candidate, then yes, this is totally true. Otherwise, I don't know what to say. Unless the definition of progressive has totally changed, I can't see how he could make this claim. He's pro-war, pro-bank. I can't think of a single thing that he's passed that would be considered progressive. So, yeah, I don't know. This one is beyond me. Let's go to the second story. Did Joe Biden tell an audience of African Americans that Republicans would, quote, put y'all back in chains? That is really insensitive. I don't like stories like this because if you're going to make a claim like this, you know, there should be some evidence. And, well, here's the evidence.
Unchain Wall Street. They're going to put you all back in chains.
So, wow, he did say that. You can draw your own conclusion about that. To me, it seems like a big gaffe, but he is the gaffe master. So I guess we can expect that, and we should expect more of that every time he steps out in front of a microphone. The third story today is, did Joe Biden take $200,000 to praise a Republican candidate 3 weeks before the November election? Well, that is a pretty bold claim to make, that he would do such a thing, especially if he was considering running for president. You would think he would never, take $200,000 and give a speech praising the Republican candidate. But yeah, he did that in the last election. And here's the New York Times article on it. This is a story that you probably haven't even heard about yet. In fact, there are so many stories of Joe Biden just being shady. It's actually quite shocking that they haven't been brought up. It's as if the media doesn't want to bring any of this up and they want to promote him. Perhaps. I don't know. The fourth story I was going to look into is, did Joe Biden claim the 94 crime bill didn't cause mass incarceration? He did make that claim, and I've looked into it, and this one is a little nuanced. Incarceration rates have been going up at that point since the 70s, and no one particular bill is 100% to blame for that. It was a combination of a lot of different things. However, all of this does stem from the tough on crime atmosphere that was going on at the time. Now, Biden claims that the bill couldn't be responsible because it only dealt with federal prisons, and federal prisons are only about 10% of the prisons. But he really misses the point here. The bill did regulate that states had to keep violent offenders for 85% of their sentence to receive federal funds. So while the bill itself dealt with federal prisons, there were funding issues for state prisons, and the claim that Joe Biden made about that is totally totally false. Now, I know a lot of different fact-checking organizations have different ratings. I guess this one I would only rate as like 2 Bidens, whereas the first one today was definitely a 4 Biden fact check. But this one, it's complicated, but the purpose, right? The purpose of the 94 crime bill was to increase incarceration. I mean, that was the point of it. And while it's not 100% to blame for that, that's kind of what it was supposed to do. So, I don't know. That one is complicated, I think. Lastly, did Joe Biden threaten to withhold $1 billion in aid to Ukraine if they didn't fire a prosecutor looking into a gas company that happened to have his son on the board? Now, PolitiFact did a fact check about this last week, and let me read what they say here. They say, when Joe Biden's son Hunter was serving as a director to Ukraine's largest private gas producer, the elder Biden threatened to withhold $1 billion in U.S. aid to Ukraine if they didn't fire a prosecutor looking into the gas company. PolitiFact rated this as half true, and I would half agree with this because this story is 100% true. You read through the article, and what PolitiFact did here, and this is something that fact checkers do, it's a way that they can weasel. They don't look at the direct claim. What they're doing is there was a meme that went around about this story, and then they fact check the meme and say, well, the meme's not 100% accurate, so therefore we're going to rate this as half true. Well, here's the text from the meme. It said, did you know that Donald Trump Jr. was named a director to Ukraine's largest private gas producer following a Ukrainian visit by President Trump? Trump later threatened to withhold $1 billion in U.S. aid to Ukraine if they didn't fire a prosecutor looking into Don Jr.'s company. Just kidding, that was Joe Biden when he was VP and his son, Hunter Biden. Now, when I read this, this is a pretty accurate representation of what happened. PolitiFact really goes out of their way to try to explain this and try to say why it's not necessarily 100% true. Here's their key takeaways. They say Hunter Biden did hold a directorship for a Ukrainian gas company while his father was vice president. Experts agree that Hunter Biden's acceptance of the position created a conflict of interest for his father. They also say that Vice President Joe Biden did urge Ukraine to fire its top prosecutor with the threat of withholding U.S. aid, but that was the position of the wider U.S. government as well as other international institutions. Here's the kicker. They say, we find no evidence to support the idea that Joe Biden advocated with his son's interest in mind. It's just a mere coincidence. It's not clear that the company was actively under investigation, even though it was, or that a change in prosecutors benefited it, and actually it did. So all those things are wrong here at the end. But here's what you need to know about this. If you're going to threaten a country withholding $1 billion and telling them, you got to fire this guy, he's got to go, we would expect something like that to happen. That happens in politics. But Gaffmaster Joe Biden bragged about this earlier this year on camera, on stage. That's the real problem. That shows his judgment. Maybe it just shows that he knows that the media is not going to call him out on this. He knows that PolitiFact is going to back him up and come up with a half-truth, even though it's a total lie. But here, I'll just play you the clip of Biden on stage admitting to what he did.
I'll give you one concrete example. I was, not I, but it just happened to be, that was the assignment.